Hey, how's it going there, folks? Earthmaster here in with a little documentation video of my trip down to Southern California here yesterday around the Palos Verdes area, and more specifically around the Portuguese Bend residential neighborhood, where we're seeing quite a bit of landslide activity out here amping up over the last couple years. This is the signage out here across the Palos Verdes Drive South area, and that is an unfortunate thing because they're always having to reconstruct this road out here. So not only are we dealing with the consistent land movement involving houses and homes, but also the road network out here is continuously, it's almost a daily event, having to redo the road. Check out one of the images here of the Palo Verdes Drive South area. This is fairly new asphalt that was put down here recently in the last couple days. It's already warping and fracturing, not due to the vehicles driving over it, but mainly due to the land movement underneath this area, consistently moving. As you've seen here on the sign, this is the view I seen all over the place here yesterday. Constant land movement. Use extreme caution. Unfortunately, there is the the damage that happened out here to a couple homes. I went down here, and let me show you guys real quick. I have a number of maps that I'm going to bring up. There's one of the homes here around the Dauntless Drive area, I believe is the name of that residential street, Dauntless Drive. One of the homes here, as you can see, guarded off. Not for certain exactly when that took place. There is another two right here at the end of Dauntless Drive, and they have that section closed off back here, no access to it, which of course I can understand. It's very dangerous for one. And look at this home right here, almost cracked in half. You can see it there on the tiles and feature and on this awning. Look at that. That is just some scary stuff, and it's unfortunate that these folks are having to deal with this activity. So the question is, what's causing it? Why is it kicking up? There is a number of factors here, folks, that I found out. I've talked to numerous residents, local geologists there as well. A lot of it pointing to the recent wet winters out here that we've had in Southern California. Okay, now also, you got to remember, let me show you another map here before I get into that one. Here is a map of the Palos Verdes area and the Portuguese Bend region here, PBKC. Here is older landslide material. This is dormant and old, and it happened before the residential building of houses out here across the area, which had been fairly stable for a little bit. But got to remember, with this landslide activity, all that loose sediment, very weak sediment. This isn't bedrock that they're building their houses on here, residential areas. This is very loose, weak sediment on a former landslide sediment out here. The recent activity is right here in the darker brown color. That's active or recently historic. This is a long time ago. I'm talking probably thousands of years here. And they've recently, in the housing boom area in the 50s or 60s, created, residential neighborhoods out here. And I can understand why, because the view is absolutely stunning. Unbelievable. Nothing can compare to it. The Pacific Ocean out there, beautiful 72-degree weather, away from the LA area, and the smog and the heavy traffic. So I can understand why people want to build homes out here. But unfortunately, it's built on a lot of loose sediment, and when you get elevated groundwater, we can see some land movement. It's just gravity can sometimes be a cruel thing. Now, there's been a number of interesting theories out here in terms of this activity. The landslide complex was dormant prior to reactivation in 1956, and possibly caused by two anthropogenic, there we go, I know that's not a hard word, anthropogenic factors, right? That's basically something, an environmental change caused by the influence of people or construction, directly or indirectly, that may have increased groundwater pore pressure. Rancho Palos Verdes approved construction of the Palos Verdes Drive South, a road running parallel to the coastline, which cuts through the slope toe. Now, material and fill used for construction were piled nearby, potentially causing rapid loading on the land area. Second, irrigation practices from nearby neighborhoods may have contributed to elevated groundwater levels. The 1956 reactivation occurred within portions of the Portuguese Bend area in 1974. Also began moving. Heavy rainfall in early 1978 accelerated deformation within the entirety of the area. So a lot of this here, folks, I feel is entirely related to the groundwater activity. There's many contributing factors out here, unfortunately. Very loose sediment. Say if we didn't have any type of groundwater or any rainwater out here, then I could see this not being a factor for a little while. But it's already loose sediment, very loose, weak, fragile shale sediment. And over time, those break down. And then when you introduce groundwater runoff, I seen a lot of hills out here that had the foliage, trees, a lot of beautiful plants and different flowers, but also at the same time, all that water goes into here. It seeps deeper into the region and can create a loose environment for things to start slipping, so to speak, in this area. So the unfortunate thing here is that I don't think it's going to get better. It's not a new thing, folks. This is something that has caused a lot of stuff to happen. But if you really think about it, it's very loose material down below. Runoff water, groundwater is accelerating the environment out here. Let me show you guys a different view of this area. The most concerning area right now around the Portuguese Bend area, where we have the most accelerated landslide activity going on, land movement. The whole overall region out here of the Portuguese Bend area is of concern. It's almost like, it's been going on for thousands of years, but more recently, housing development and whatnot has increased the awareness of the land movement out here. And I talked to the guy's name is Tom there. He was at one of the areas. It's kind of, I believe it's some type of national park out there that was along the coastline. And he told me there that he's lived there his entire life, and that I guess he had a major in geology back when he was younger. A little bit older guy now, but he said that it's due to the very loose sediment, and it makes sense, right? This whole area was once pretty much a landslide fill area from previous landslides that happened thousands of years ago. So now we got, housing development on top of it, which is fairly stable for a little while. But eventually, groundwater and just in general can take place. And that's why we see the current ongoing activity right now. And losing homes left and right in the area. Now, it's crazy to think what they're trying to do, and I guess it works, or it could potentially work here, is that they are drilling down into the area, hoping to withdraw the water from the area to hopefully stabilize the region. Underground water, so to speak, can create a dynamic environment to where things will move. I guess the city spends about $1 million annually to resurface a portion of the Palos Verdes Drive South that is continuously shifting. I showed you guys a picture due to the landslide activity. So they are attempting, to hopefully get a handle on this. Stabilization is a term that they're used, and they even started this back in 2017. They restarted efforts to explore options for long-term stabilization into preventing further escalation of what's going on down here. But I have a feeling, folks, that it's not going to get any better. The overview here and the general region is, it's basically a loose sediment environment out here from previous ancient landslides. And with the water, Southern California doesn't get a lot of rainwater out here, but they do get some on occasion. So when it does rain, and the last couple winters have been quite wet out here, we've seen reactivation and further escalation of the ground movement. Now, I don't see this falling off all at once and creating a catastrophic event. This is slow land movement, but also at the same time, it's taking a house, couple houses there, couple houses there, and it's expanding. It's widening across the area. And the main driving factor I feel here is due to the loose sediment and the groundwater, the rainwater that has accumulated underneath this area. Tectonically speaking, in terms of stress out here, there is the Palos Verdes fault, which is to the south. Bring this up here, right here. Is the Palos Verdes fault zone, and that runs within this range here of the mountain range or the hills here where we're talking about the Portuguese Bend region. And this area, unfortunately, is capable of producing a large earthquake in itself here. I feel, though, that any type of earthquake activity specifically on that fault or bigger earthquake activity in general could cause further escalation of the land movement out there. It would make sense, right? It's already loose sediment. We're already seeing continuous land movement. Any subsequent larger activity would contribute to something much bigger. There's a number of homes out there. Power has been cut off. Natural gas has been cut off. And the factor behind that is because we don't know exactly what's going to happen, right? They don't know exactly what's going to happen. How many homes are going to continue to be red tagged? And also, so if you leave up the power, there's a potential here for fires to start in this area. And that's the last thing they would need, because it'd be bad because there's all residential areas around there. Natural gas, that's a common sense, right? You don't want natural gas lines breaking because of the continuous movement. So I heard numerous generators out here for the folks that are still living out there. But a lot of homes look like they were nobody there at the moment. And I can understand why. I can understand the concern as to if this is going to progress or not. And I firmly believe, folks, that the rainwater here recently has contributed to these escalated events here over the last couple days or last couple years. There was a recent test borehole drilling discovery, which it was basically led to a discovery of movement on a deeper slide plane in the landslide complex than that was previously known. So this activity is occurring in a deeper area underneath this region, and that's where a lot of the looser sediment is, right down there. Even though it may be somewhat compacted, all that groundwater seeping down. So this is not just a surface event that's taken place out here across the area, but it's got the activity down hundreds of feet down in there as well. And it's a little scary to think about the possibilities here, but we got entire neighborhoods out there which are being threatened due to this land movement. Some of these areas seeing more than 1 foot per week. If anything, this has developed further, folks, and escalated further. And I don't know, what the city's planning on doing as a permanent fixture. I don't even know if there's a permanent fix on this, folks, to be honest. But they are trying to do what they can to get that water out from the deeper areas to hopefully stabilize the region. And I can only think of, this getting worse. I don't see it getting better, unfortunately. And it's primarily within this region here of the Palos Verdes area, Portuguese Bend, a couple different regions out here as well that is being affected. Although when I was out there in Southern California, even around Malibu area, I seen some landslides up on the mountain ranges out there that look fairly recent. So, Southern California doesn't get a lot of rain, and I feel that further groundwater will definitely escalate this a lot. Let me go back over here. Yeah, it's just I'm gonna attach another video here to this video and show you guys the drive out there. But far as the information I have here is that the driving factors are the building up here of residential neighborhoods on top of loose, older, brittle sediment from previous landslides, talking about thousands of years ago, and the recent winters out here have contributed to the further escalation in the last couple of years, and more recently of the Portuguese Bend area, and that's the main driving factor. Now, stress related, in terms of fault system, it's hard to say. We haven't really seen any earthquake activity at all out there across the area of the Palos Verdes area. Really nothing going on at all. Last 30 days, there was a little swarm out here, a little interesting one, a distance out from the Palos Verdes fault zone out here. There's a number of different faults out here. But they say the Palos Verdes fault, unfortunately, and this isn't to fearmonger anything, but even this is capable of producing a 7.5 earthquake. You get a 7.5 anywhere out here in Los Angeles, it's going to be damaging. If you get a 7.5 around this fault system with the ongoing activity here, landslide activity, then we're talking about, further collapse of this area. And it's absolutely stunning, to have this feature out here. And the thought process is wonderful, right? To build some homes out here and live a beautiful life. A little bit quieter out here compared to the greater Los Angeles area, and some stunning views, but also at the same time, unfortunately, we have to deal with this, and I believe this is probably going to be the future here of the region that's expanding out here across the area. That's, it's bad. I seen a sign down there in the residential neighborhood there around the Dauntless Drive area that stated that they are still not receiving any state or federal help. Now, I don't think the governor has declared this area a disaster zone, but I seen a sign out there in somebody's yard stating that nobody's helped them at all in terms of state or federal help. The city's trying to do what they can do to prevent that water, or to extract that water in hopes of stabilizing this region, but I don't know. I don't see that happening. This is already super loose, brittle settlement, and it's gonna, Mother Nature, gravity, is gonna do what it wants to do. So I will provide some video following this update, and you guys are more than welcome to watch it. It's the drive along the Palos Verdes Drive South area from the GoPro, and along with a couple more images in there. So hopefully you guys will watch that. And my observation there is, pretty much as what other observations have been, that that's contributed a lot to the rainfalls here recently in the last couple winters. And it may be the reason why we're seeing elevated activity out here across Southern California as well. A lot of earthquakes out here recently, more so in the last 2 months or so. Lots of swarms all over the place, and that would make sense, right? takes a little while for the water to percolate down below. Some of these areas, you got some fairly thick ground, but it can percolate down into the areas. And if you have loose sediment with very minimal irrigation systems out here, it's troublesome. But that feature out here, you can almost see the feature of the landslide activity out here historically on the map. So unfortunately, folks, I think that's going to be the continued event out here for the folks, at least in this immediate area. All right, I'm out of here. Watch this video coming up, and also some pictures included as well.